Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be doing another review. This time it is of a watercolour set. Basically in the last year or so I've been doing a lot more watercolour because, believe it or not, I don't really like it. Adding layers, and as soon as one layer is wrong it's very hard to correct, so you have to be very patient, whereas I really like quick and fast work. That's why I like printmaking and drawing so much, because the only watercolour set I've actually got at the moment, or that I've been using, is the same one that you get at Scull. I can't ever say it, but it is this one. I think a lot of people will recognise it. It's very used, very mixed in with different colours, especially with the yellow, and the white never really comes out as anything. So I just wanted to try open and branch and see if actually getting a better and more spread out pigmentation of colours within a bigger watercolour set, but not too big that I can't take it out and, you know, fit it in my bag or something. So that is why I went out and bought this watercolour palette. Now this I bought from Amazon. I will leave a link down below if you are interested at the end of this review, if you like the look of it or it's something for you. It might not necessarily be for me, but as always with all my reviews, I have not been paid. I did look at the reviews already on Amazon to see if it was worthwhile, but this seemed to be the best choice in terms of cost, the amount of materials you get with it, and also the variations. So it came in a plastic bag, which I took out the plastic bag, and on top of it, it had this really nice, fancy, you know, typical artist palette, watercolour palette, which is quite nice in size. It actually makes a difference having the palette instead of just the packaging that you use for the usual, for my old watercolour set. Seems quite flimsy. It does feel a bit cheap, but not like cheap, but the next level, like above it in quality. It seems alright. Seems okay. Then you have this little velvet. You have this velvet package with the brand's name on it, which is very, very fancy and neat as well. So like I said, if you want to take it out and about, you can just slot it all in here. Maybe not the mixing palette. Just taking this out. It is very, very fancy. It's in a lovely tin, which you can see here. First impression, actually looks rather, you know, professional. Nothing is shouting out at me in terms of defect quality. If that's even a word, a defection in quality. So straight away, on the front it just says watercolour paint set and number 36 colours. Also comes with an absorbent sponge and water brush, which is very, very fancy for watercolours. Opening it up, you can see that it comes really nicely with this watercolour paper, which quite fancy. It's in a little booklet, so it does have a bit of residue from the watercolour. Just bear that in mind. I know it's not very much and it's very, very slight, but you know, you've got to be observant with this. And with this, it comes with 1, 2, 7 pieces of watercolour paper, about A5-ish. So it's pretty decent, you know. But I suppose if you are going full out with watercolour, with a watercolour set, you would think you would have a little booklet already with you. At least it does give you a sample watercolour paper, because I don't know if this company does watercolour paper. I would have thought so. So maybe it's like kind of like, oh, this is a sample of our watercolour paper if you like it. So at least it gives you some watercolour paper to actually practice on, rather than going, oh no, I've got a watercolour set but I don't have a watercolour paper to go with it. Here we have some, the bottom corner, some watercolours high quality. It says Chinese white, and for the sake of me, I don't know what this is. Maybe it's actual pigment. You know when oil paints come in a tube? Maybe it's a more pigmented and more solid, no, not solid, water-based colour. Maybe, I don't know. If anyone knows, please let me know down in the comment section below, because that I don't know about. I would have thought it would have come with some instructions and told you what exactly comes in the tin, but literally all you get is on the front. Then you have this really nice watercolour paintbrush, which I think is pretty cool. This is going to be the first time I'm ever going to use one, because I've never used one in my life. It feels It feels okay actually. I'm guessing you fill this bit up with water, if I can get it loose. And then as you use it, also go down the system into the actual brush. Seems not as complicated as I thought. I thought, you know, it'd be like one of those spray bucket things where you have to squeeze it to let water out. So then that's the watercolour pen. And then we have this pencil, just a generic pencil with no sharpener. So I don't know how I'm going to sharpen this because I actually don't have a sharpener. I only have a scalpel, which I use to sharpen some of my pencils, but they've already been like sharpened. It's not like a brand new pencil. So we'll just have to figure that out. And for the last bit is what everyone wants to see. Now, just looking at it, I can already see that some of the colours are actually a bit loose, not fully in the set. It is in a plastic container, which can make some of the colours pop out. Some of the colours will pop out like that. Some of these just need a little bit of a push in. It might have just come out during delivery, but that's just something to note. But actually I think all of them need a bit of a push down. Some of them are actually alright, but most do need a push down. So yeah, that is the set. On first impressions, it does look quite professional and a really nice set to get given, I would have thought. There is some limitations already that I've said. There isn't really an instruction manual, which I know is very, very simple thing to use watercolour. You just add water to the set. But, you know, maybe some tips and tricks would have been nice. Like, I don't know what this is. It just says, you know, watercolours, high quality. That's pretty much it. I know on the website it probably will come with a bit more instructions, but if you are buying this for someone else, you know how they meant to know. Maybe you meant to show the link. But it is really nice to have some watercolour paper, a pencil, and the whole set. Again, how I meant to sharpen that pencil. Watercolour paper, 7 pieces. That's pretty generous, I think. You know, I would have liked a booklet, but again, maybe it's just to keep the cost down, or maybe to give you a test sample. Then we have the watercolour pen, which I think is pretty decent. It, you know, it's very simple and looks very easy to use. And you have the colours, which there is a vast variety of them, but they won't properly set in the box. As you saw, I had to press some of them down. So the next part, which is probably what you've been waiting for, is to try out the colours and see how effective they are. So this is the setup I'm going to be choosing. I'm going to take every single colour and use it on the paper just to see the pigmentation and how well the colours come out. When actually filling this up, I did find it's literally the tiniest little thing that I noticed, is that when you do fill it up, you have to squeeze the tube to allow the water in and do it like a little bit at a time, because if the water goes in too quickly, it will just make a massive air bubble and it just won't go in and fill up. I'm going to start off with the white. A feeling it's not going to show up. Oh, I can actually slightly see it there, which is rather unusual. Yellow. I have put the light on, by the way, because the lighting, it's a really cloudy day, basically. Nice bright orange. Yellow. Onto the other orange. Not getting my hopes up with that so far. Pretty good. Nice yellow. Okay, so that is the left hand side, and honestly, but that is quite a pigmented selection of colours. Probably towards the 8 mark, from here onwards, I did have to wet my brush to get rid of the excess colours from beforehand, so it might look more pigmented, but it's just a general note that at the beginning not much water was coming out of the brush anyway, but after about, say, this neon orange, I did have to wet the brush with a separate water because the colours were just messing up on the brush, which you can kind of see here. But I haven't actually influenced that much towards the bottom, even though you can see it on the brush. Just a disclaimer if anyone wants to know. On the right hand side and the top one, already I'm having a bit of trouble with the colours. It's not really coming out as strong, which is a bit annoying. Okay, there we go, that one's a bit better. Okay, so actually getting there a bit more. I don't know what happened up here, maybe it's because I wetted my brush a bit too much. So we're going to move on to the final right hand column. I'm really impressed with this. The colours and the pigmentations do come out really well. Like I did say, I did have to dip my watercolour brush in the water every now and again just to get the excess colours off. It's okay if it's in the same kind of genre or colour wheel of the area, but when it comes to if I went from left to right, it becomes very muddled up. So that's just something to note. But honestly, the pigmentations and the colours are looking really, really nice. Mix up a bit and have a bit yellow in. Okay, I think I should leave it at that. I was meant to commentate all the way through that, but I ended up getting lost in, you know, the arty world. I'm really, really impressed with this set. Like, you can be so delicate with this, and yet you can get some really lovely marks out of it from dotting or just pulling the pigments along, making a bit more of a, you can put the colours basically next together but make them look separate but together at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. It's a very quick drawing, but honestly this is such a good palette for the quality and the amount of stuff you get with it. It does have its limitations, but they are very, very thin. So I really do hope this video has helped anyone out there if they're looking for a watercolour set or is looking at this precise watercolouring set and it gets you the answer you wanted. It might not be for everyone, obviously, but for me, this is perfect. This is the next step up from using pretty much a primary school watercolour set. I would just like to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you actually made it to the very end. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and I really hope you have a nice day, and I shall see you guys next time. Bye now.